Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive right in. When you think about commerce, you usually picture this huge, complex ecosystem, right? You know, the gears turning, sudden light bulb moments, steady growth, massive global markets. But underneath all of that ambitious machinery lies our source text for today. And get this, it literally consists of just two words. In Bengali, the phrase is "Byavasha shuru," which simply translates to English as starting a business. That's it. That is the absolute entirety of our source material. And honestly, sometimes the most minimalistic texts are the most mind-blowing. So today, we're going to unpack the universal human experience hidden inside this tiny, brief phrase. We're going to look at what it actually means to initiate, what it means to build, and why these two specific words perfectly capture the genuine genesis of human commerce. Let's explore the absolute ground floor of enterprise.
So, think about how these two words stand completely on their own, stripping away all the usual noise. There are no bullet points here, folks, no step-by-step manuals, zero complex financial projections, no endless risk analysis. Our source material deliberately ignores the mountains of planning that usually surround the business world, and instead it just leaves us with a stark imperative. I mean, think about the universal human experience of taking that initial leap. Whenever anyone, anywhere in history, has created a market or, opened a corner stall or launched a massive global corporation, they had to pass through this exact threshold. Notice how the text doesn't say thinking about a business or planning a business. No, it just declares the start. It is a statement of raw action. It challenges us to view that very first 0 to 1 moment as the true defining feature of commerce itself.
Let's actually deconstruct this phrase for a second to really understand the tension going on in our source text. If we split the concept right down the middle, you get two very different vibes. On one hand, you have bevsha, or business. Now, this word carries some serious weight. It represents structure, exchange, economics, basically the heavy, formal machinery of the commercial world. But then, on the other hand, you have shuru, or start. And this is entirely different. It's not a static structure at all. It is a verb of motion. It's a sharp, immediate call to action. The really crucial point here is the massive contrast between these two elements. The sprawling, heavy world of business is actually completely helplessly dependent on the singular, sharp act of starting. Because think about it, without that literal act of initiation, all the complex commerce in the world remains just, well, hypothetical. The structure of commerce doesn't create the start, it's the courageous act of starting that ultimately creates the commerce.
And, that brings us to what is easily the most fascinating aspect of our source text. It just ends. Right there, abruptly. It says, starting a business, and then complete silence. It provides the spark, sure, but it absolutely refuses to map out the fire. Our source leaves us standing right at a threshold. By intentionally leaving out the middle and the end of the journey, the source material essentially hands us an unmapped territory. The whole how-to, the inevitable failures, the massive successes, the scaling up, all of those unwritten paths are entirely up to the person who takes the first step. The text acts purely as a catalyst. It pushes you over the edge and then immediately steps back. So, if the only fundamental instruction provided by our foundational text is simply to begin, we really have to ask ourselves, is the true barrier to creating something new just an illusion of our own making? What unknown path is out there, just waiting for you to simply initiate the start?